The Arizona sun always rose slow, like it was shy about waking the desert. But that morning felt different. Too quiet, too still, as if the land itself was holding its breath. I stepped out onto my wooden porch, coffee mug shaking lightly in my hand, and stared out across the stretch of sand and mesquite trees. I kept replaying the events from last night, events so unreal that even now I wondered if I'd imagined them. A giant Apache girl, 16 feet tall, barefoot, bruised, hungry, terrified, and somehow still gentle. I had found her collapsed near the old dry creek bed, her breathing ragged, her eyes fighting to stay open. I'd carried what food I could, offered her water, even given her one of my oversized work jackets to cover herself. She had looked at me with an expression I can't describe, half relief, half disbelief. As if kindness wasn't something she'd expected from a man like me. Before dawn, she whispered her name, Tala, and then disappeared into the desert as quietly as she'd arrived. I thought the strange chapter of my life had ended there. I was wrong, completely wrong. The ground started to vibrate under my feet, light at first, then heavier, more rhythmic. Hoofbeats, many of them. I set my mug down and walked to the front gate. 3 Apache men on horseback rode up, each dressed in traditional garments mixed with modern gear, leather, beads, and tactical vests. Their faces were stern, carved by sun and history. The lead rider dismounted, tall and broad-shouldered, with silver hair tied back and eyes as sharp as flint. "You are the one who helped her?" he asked. There was no need to clarify who, her, meant. "Yes," I answered. The man nodded slowly, as if confirming something important. 2 riders behind him exchanged glances. None of them looked angry, but none looked particularly grateful either. Their expressions were heavy, weighted by something I couldn't name. The leader spoke again. "I am Chief Red Eagle of the White Mesa Apache. The girl you encountered is of our blood." I opened my mouth to speak, but he raised a hand to silence me. "She is, not like others," he continued. "And because you aided her, our council must give you an answer." "An answer to what?" I asked, confused. Instead of replying, the chief stepped past me and gestured toward my door. "We wish to speak inside. What we say is not for the desert wind." Something in his voice made my stomach twist. This wasn't a simple thank you visit. This was official, tribal, dangerous. I led them into my living room. They sat down without being invited, like men on a mission, not guests. I could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to choke on. Then Chief Red Eagle said something that made the hairs on my arms rise. "By helping her, you have stepped into a story far older than this land. And now, there is a decision our tribe must make about you." My breath froze. My quiet desert life was gone, and I knew it. The 3 chiefs sat in my living room like they had carried the entire weight of Arizona on their shoulders. The morning sun filtered through my curtains, cutting sharp lines across the wooden floor. No one spoke for several long seconds. Only the ticking of my old wall clock filled the room. Finally, Chief Red Eagle leaned forward. "The girl you helped, Tala, is not an ordinary member of our tribe," he said, his voice steady but heavy. "She is a remnant of something ancient. A living piece of our forgotten bloodline." I swallowed hard. Her size, I figured she wasn't normal. The other 2 chiefs exchanged a brief glance, the type of look people share when they're about to reveal something that can't be taken back. Chief Red Eagle continued, "Among our people, there once existed a clan of protectors, giants. Their strength safeguarded our tribe during times when enemies came not just for our land, but for our spirit." He paused. "Tala is one of the last." A chill rushed through me despite the desert heat. Last night, she had been scared, alone, and hunted. Now it all made sense. "What does this have to do with me?" I asked. The second chief, Storm Hawk, fixed me with a stare so intense it made me sit straighter. "There is an old law," he said. "When a protector is aided by an outsider, a decision must be made. Because her safety now has ties to yours. And your actions now affect her fate." I blinked. "I just gave her water. I didn't sign up for anything." "You did," Red Eagle replied, "whether you knew it or not." He reached into a leather pouch hanging from his belt and pulled out a carved piece of bone, smooth, white, ancient. He placed it gently on my coffee table. The object seemed out of place in my modern living room. "This is the mark of witness," he said. "Only given to those who have crossed paths with a protector." "And what do you want from me?" I asked, my voice quieter than I liked. The third chief, Silent Runner, the youngest, leaned back. You must choose, he said simply. Become her guardian, or become her enemy. My heart thudded in my ears. Why would I be her enemy? I helped her. Red Eagle's eyes softened, but the softness carried more warning than comfort. Because if you refuse the role of guardian, the law states that you cannot be permitted to know what you already know. Her existence is sacred, hidden, protected. If you walk away, she will view that as betrayal. And protectors do not forgive betrayal. My mouth went dry. So it's either protect her, or be hunted by her. Stormhawk nodded once. Yes. I stood up and paced. This is insane. Silent Runner's voice dropped low and firm. Insane or not, the choice comes today. Before nightfall. A long, uneasy silence followed. Then Red Eagle spoke the words that locked my future in place. If you choose to stand with her, you stand with us. If you choose to walk away, she will return for you. I didn't know it then, but the world I understood was already slipping through my fingers. And Tala's story, my story, was only just beginning. After the chiefs left, the silence in my house felt heavier than before. Their words lingered like dust floating in the sunlight, visible, suffocating, impossible to ignore. Guardian or enemy? I hadn't asked for any of this, yet somehow I was trapped in the middle of a story older than the land I called home. I paced my living room, rubbing my temples as the Arizona heat pressed against the windows. The question haunted me, what happens if I choose wrong? I walked into the backyard, needing air more than answers. That was where she had hidden last night, sitting curled behind the mesquite trees, trembling, enormous yet vulnerable. I could still see the indentation in the dirt where she'd rested her weight. As I scanned the desert, a sudden gust of wind rushed past me, sharp and cold. The bushes trembled. A shadow moved across the ground. And then, without a sound, she appeared. Tala. 16 feet of raw strength and ancient grace stepped out from behind the rocks as easily as a whisper. Her hair was tangled from the desert wind, her dress torn at the edges, but her eyes, those large amber eyes, were alert, almost wild. You need to listen, she said, her voice deeper than I remembered but edged with urgency. My heartbeat stumbled. How long have you been watching me? Since dawn. She stepped closer, her giant foot pressing softly into the earth. I needed to see if the council spoke with you. And what decision they offered. I swallowed. A decision that doesn't feel like a choice. They rarely give choices, she murmured, almost bitterly. I looked up at her, really looked. Last night she had seemed scared, wounded. But now she looked like someone carrying secrets heavy enough to break her back. What is going on, Tala? I asked. Why are you being hunted? Why did those men come after you? At the mention of the attackers, Tala's expression darkened. She turned her gaze toward the horizon, where the desert stretched endlessly. There is something I didn't tell you last night. Her voice grew quieter. I am not just a giant. I am a protector, the last protector capable of awakening an ancient prophecy my tribe guards. That's what the chief said, I replied. But what does that mean for you? For me? Tala kneeled down, lowering herself until her enormous face was level with mine. It means someone wants to stop that prophecy. A group called Black Ridge. They capture people like me. Experiment on us. Turn protectors into weapons. The words hit me like a punch. Those men last night, they were Black Ridge. Yes, she said. And they won't stop. Not until I'm taken. A cold shiver crawled down my spine. You said someone would come tonight. She nodded slowly. Black Ridge never hunts once. They return in waves. Stronger each time. I ran a hand through my hair. So what do we do now? Tala's eyes met mine, fierce and determined. Now, she said, you decide if you stand with me, or if you need to run before it's too late. The desert wind fell silent. Her warning was clear. Tonight, everything would change. The sun dipped behind the Arizona mountains faster than usual, bleeding orange and crimson across the sky like a warning. By the time darkness settled, my house felt like the only lit place in 100 miles. I stood on the porch with my shotgun slung over my shoulder, every nerve in my body pulled tight. Tala sat in the backyard, partially hidden behind my barn. Even sitting down, she towered above the roofline. Her expression was steady, but her shoulders were tense, her jaw clenched. She wasn't scared. She was preparing. Did they always come at night? I asked quietly. Yes, she replied, her voice deep and echoing softly through the air. Night hides their machines. And their failures. The way she said, failures, sent a chill down my spine. I checked the porch light, the locks, the backup lights I'd rigged earlier. I wasn't ready for a war, but I wasn't prepared to run either. Everything went silent, too silent. Then, I felt it. A faint vibration under my boots. Not hoofbeats this time, engines. Tala stood instantly, rising to her full height. They're here. My breath hitched. Already. The desert in front of my property lit up with white beams as 3 black vehicles rolled to a stop just beyond my fence line. No markings. No plates. Military-grade tires. Doors opened in crisp synchronization, and 6 figures stepped out, tall, armored, carrying long rifles with thick barrels. Dart rifles. Just like Tala said. One of them cupped his hands around his mouth. Turn the girl over. We only need her. My grip tightened on the shotgun. This is private property. Leave now. They didn't even acknowledge me. One raised a device, a glowing red scanner aimed directly at Tala. That's enough, Tala said. She stepped around the barn, her enormous form flooding the yard with her shadow. The intruders stiffened. Even from a distance, I saw one man flinch. Another muttered something into his earpiece. Their leader spoke again. Giant target confirmed. Prepare containment. My heart pounded. Tala, what do we do? Stay low, she ordered. Don't fire unless you have no choice. 2 attackers raised their dart rifles and shot in unison. Tala moved with surprising speed. She dropped into a crouch, shielding herself with her arm. The darts bounced off her thick skin harmlessly. That all you got? She growled. She leapt forward, covering 20 feet in a single step. The ground shook violently. One attacker stumbled, dropping his rifle. Tala grabbed him by the vest and lifted him into the air like he weighed nothing. Who sent you? She demanded. He struggled but refused to answer. The others fired again, this time at me. A dart whizzed past my ear. I dove behind the porch pillar and fired once. The blast echoed across the desert, forcing them to scatter behind their vehicles. Tala! I yelled. She turned, eyes blazing, and slammed her fist into the ground. Dust erupted everywhere, knocking 2 attackers flat. You will not take me, she roared. For the first time, I wasn't looking at a frightened girl. I was witnessing the fury of a giant protector. And the night had only just begun. The desert moon hung low, a pale silver disk watching silently as chaos erupted across my property. Dust swirled in thick clouds, kicked up by Tala's massive movements and the panicked scrambling of the Black Ridge strike team. My ears rang from the echo of gunfire and the deep thuds of her heavy footsteps. 2 attackers were already down from the shockwave she created, but 4 more were circling, adjusting their strategy. They moved with frightening precision, fast, trained, and unshaken by the fact that they were fighting a 16-foot giant. Tala, your left, I shouted. An attacker darted in, firing a rapid burst of tranquilizer darts. Tala swung her arm, blocking the shots with her forearm. The darts bounced off harmlessly, though one left a small scratch. She hissed at the pain, more insulted than injured. I'm fine, she said through gritted teeth. Watch your flank. I turned just in time to see another soldier raising his weapon at me. Instinct took over. I fired my shotgun, the blast tearing through the metal casing of his dart rifle and sending him stumbling backward. Not dead, but out of the fight. My hands trembled, adrenaline flooding my veins. I'd never fired at a human before. Not like this. Not with my life on the line. Tala slammed her fist into the ground again, using the shock to force 2 attackers off balance. Then she lunged forward with staggering speed, faster than anyone her size had a right to be. She grabbed one soldier by the back of his armor and lifted him effortlessly. Who sent you? She growled. The man struggled, kicking uselessly. We don't answer to you. Tala's eyes narrowed. Then you answer to him. She turned her head toward their leader, still hiding behind a vehicle, barking orders into his headset. Retreat protocol. We're not equipped for full physical engagement. He snapped. A second soldier rushed toward Tala with a glowing device in his hands, some kind of tech weapon. EMP net. Deploying. Tala, look out. I shouted. But it was too late, he threw it like a grenade. The device burst open midair, spreading a crackling blue net toward her. Tala reacted instantly. She spun, using the soldier she was holding as a human shield. The net struck him instead, wrapping him in electrical coils. He screamed as the current rippled through him. The remaining attackers froze. Fall back. Their leader yelled. They began retreating to their vehicles, dragging the incapacitated soldier with them. The engines revved to life. I raised my gun. We can't let them leave. Tala stepped forward, her massive hand lowering gently onto the barrel of my shotgun. Don't. If we kill them, they will send more. Stronger. Better armed. Tonight was a test. I clenched my jaw. A test. Yes, she said, watching the vehicles disappear into the desert. And we passed. But now they know exactly what we can do. I looked at her, covered in dust, breathing hard, glowing faintly in the moonlight. A warrior born from legend. What happens next? I whispered. Tala met my eyes, her voice low and steady. Next, she said, we prepare for war. The sun rose over the desert like a slow-burning ember, casting long shadows across the battlefield that had once been my quiet backyard. Tire tracks cut deep into the sand, scorch marks dotted the dirt, and shattered darts glimmered like broken needles. I hadn't slept. Tala had barely closed her eyes either. Giants, it seemed, didn't rest when danger hovered so close. By mid-morning, the distant beat of horse hooves echoed through the valley. Tala stood instantly, her posture straightening. The council, she murmured. The same 3 Apache chiefs from yesterday rode up, but this time they didn't come alone. 10 warriors followed, armed with traditional weapons, mixed with modern rifles. Their expressions were grim, their eyes scanning the land for threats. Chief Red Eagle dismounted first. His gaze swept over the broken ground, the indentations left by Tala's massive feet, the signs of struggle. His jaw tightened. So it has begun, he said. I nodded, exhausted. Black Ridge attacked last night. They'll come again. Stormhawk knelt near a dart lodged in the dirt. Their weapons are growing stronger. They won't stop. Tala stepped forward. Neither will we. Her confidence steadied me, but the chiefs exchanged a look that said they were hiding something. A truth heavier than last night's battle. Red Eagle turned toward me, his voice solemn. You have stepped into a sacred conflict, one our people have carried for generations. Before you decide your path, you need to understand what Tala truly is, and what she means to us. Tala lowered her head slightly, as if bracing for something difficult. The chief motioned to 2 warriors, who brought forward a wooden chest, ancient, wrapped in hide and etched with Apache symbols. Red Eagle opened it carefully and removed a carved stone tablet, cracked and weathered. He held it up. This is the prophecy, passed down from the days when giants and humans lived as one tribe. I frowned. I thought giants were myths. Stormhawk answered, many truths become myths when the world is not ready for them. Red Eagle continued, tracing the lines on the tablet. The prophecy tells of a protector born at the end of the bloodline, one who carries the strength of the earth and the vision of the ancestors. She will arise in a time when darkness hunts the sacred, when the land cries out for balance. Tala looked away, her eyes troubled. Silent Runner added softly, that protector is Tala. My breath caught. You're saying she's chosen. Tala shook her head. Chosen or cursed, it feels the same. Red Eagle set the tablet down and reached into the chest again. This time he brought out something smaller, a talisman carved from bone and bound with leather. He handed it to me. This is the Guardian's mark, he said. It belongs to the one who stands beside the protector. You may choose to accept it, or you may walk away. I stared at the talisman in my palm. It felt warm, alive. Older than anything I'd ever held. What happens if I accept it? I asked. Red Eagle's answer was simple. Your life becomes bound to hers. Your fate becomes the tribe's. You fight when she fights. You fall when she falls. A long silence followed. Then I said it, quiet but certain. I'm not walking away. Tala looked at me, her expression softening for the first time since dawn. The chiefs nodded. So be it, Red Eagle said. The Guardian has chosen. And just like that, my ordinary life was gone forever. The next morning marked the beginning of my new reality. The chiefs had left at dawn, promising to return with supplies and more warriors. Tala and I were alone again, alone, yet not the same people we had been a day earlier. I was now her guardian, bound by a talisman older than history. And she was the last protector of her kind. The desert became our training ground. Again, Tala said, her deep voice echoing across the sandy plain. I ducked behind a boulder, breathing hard, clutching the wooden staff she'd given me. It felt strange training with a giant, stranger still having her order me around like a drill sergeant, but I obeyed. Black Ridge wasn't going to give us time to relax. They would return stronger, smarter, angrier. Your steps are too loud, she said as she crouched to my level. Even crouching, her face hovered impossibly high above mine. A guardian must move like wind, not thunder. I nodded, trying to swallow my exhaustion. Easy for you too. Say. Your footsteps shake the ground. She cracked a small grin. That means you must learn to be even quieter. The morning passed in a blur of drills, dodging, sprinting, rolling behind cover, aiming with a bow she'd fashioned quickly from mesquite wood. I was no warrior, and my body complained with every movement, but Tala remained patient. Well, mostly patient. You raise your elbow too much, she scolded, adjusting my posture with a single giant finger. You will miss the target. I'm new at this, I muttered. Yes, she replied. But Black Ridge does not care if you are new. That truth hit me like a slap. After hours of training, we took a break beneath the shade of the cliffs. Tala sat with her knees pulled up, looking almost human in that moment, just impossibly large. You said giants were guardians, I began. What exactly does that mean? She plucked up a handful of sand, letting it drift through her fingers like falling ash. Long ago, my kin protected the sacred places, caves, rivers, burial sites. We shielded the tribe from outsiders, from invaders, from forces that threatened balance. What happened to them? I asked. Tala's eyes dimmed. The world changed. Our enemies evolved. Many of my people were taken by Black Ridge. She paused, jaw tightening. My parents, my brothers, all gone. I felt my throat tighten. I'm sorry. Her gaze turned to me. Do not be sorry. Be ready. A sudden shift in the wind cut the quiet moment short. Tala stood up quickly, scanning the horizon. The chiefs are returning. Sure enough, within minutes, Apache riders appeared over the rise, this time carrying crates of weapons, blankets, and sacred relics. Red Eagle approached with a determined look. Our scouts spotted Black Ridge drones near the canyon, he said. They are searching for you both. Tala didn't flinch. Let them look. Red Eagle turned to me. Are you prepared? I looked at Tala, towering, fierce, unyielding, and felt the weight of my choice settle into my bones. As ready as I'll ever be, I said. Red Eagle nodded. Then tonight, we begin the journey to the Sacred Valley. Tala's expression hardened. They want war. We'll give them one. And so my training ended, because the real fight was finally approaching. Night fell over the desert like a dark curtain as we traveled toward the Sacred Valley. The Apache riders formed a protective circle around me, while Tala moved beside us, silent, massive, and alert. Her long strides shook the ground, yet each movement carried a strange grace, as if she were born to walk this land at night. By dawn, the valley appeared before us, towering red cliffs, winding caves, and a river shimmering like liquid silver. This was the heart of Tala's people, the place Black Ridge desperately wanted. A place they would never touch. The chiefs prepared defenses while Tala and I scouted the high ridges. My legs ached from yesterday's training, but Tala pushed me forward with firm encouragement. You must know this land, she said. It will keep you alive. I nodded, forcing myself to memorize paths, hiding spots, choke points. I wasn't a warrior, but I could learn. By midday, the sky buzzed. Drones. Dozens of them. Black Ridge had arrived. Their armored vehicles rolled toward the valley like steel beetles. The ground trembled. This time, they weren't here to capture Tala, they were here to wipe out the Apache presence completely. Red Eagle raised his hand. Positions. Warriors took cover behind boulders. Arrows were nocked. I gripped my bow, swallowing fear. Tala stepped forward, towering above everyone. Stay behind me, she commanded. Black Ridge soldiers poured out of their vehicles, rifles raised. Their leader, a man in a black exosuit, stepped ahead. Return the giant, he called through a loudspeaker. Or we burn this valley to the ground. Tala's voice echoed like thunder. You cannot take what is protected. The man sighed. Very well. The first shot fired. Chaos exploded. Apache arrows rained from the cliffs. Soldiers advanced with shields and electric nets designed for giant restraint. A drone swooped toward Tala, but she crushed it mid-air with one massive hand, sparks flying like firecrackers. Tala, left. I yelled. She spun, blocking a barrage meant for the riders. I fired arrows, not perfectly, not gracefully, but enough to distract the soldiers aiming at her knees. One soldier charged me. I panicked, until Tala's hand slammed down between us, knocking him away like a ragdoll. You stay safe, she growled. I'm trying. But Black Ridge wasn't backing down. Their leader activated something on his suit. A massive cannon unfolded on his shoulder, humming with power. Tala noticed too late. The blast struck her square in the chest. She staggered, then fell to one knee, the earth cracking under her weight. Tala. I ran to her. She placed a trembling hand around me to shield me from the next blast. Guardian, take the talisman. Finish this. Her eyes burned with ancient fire. I turned toward the leader, the talisman glowing hot in my palm. Something awakened inside me. A force beyond strength, beyond fear. The ground pulsed. Energy erupted from the talisman, a blinding wave that swept across the valley. The soldiers, weapons shattered. Drones crashed. The leader's suit sparked violently before collapsing. Silence followed. When the dust cleared, Black Ridge was defeated. Tala slowly rose, wounded but alive. Red Eagle approached, bowing his head. The valley is safe, he said. Because of both of you. I looked up at Tala. She smiled, a tired, grateful, powerful smile. You saved me, she said softly. No, I replied. We saved each other. And so the giant's legacy lived on, protected not by strength alone, but by courage, trust, and a bond no one could break.